All right, let's crack open a cold case. And I mean a really cold case. We're talking over 3,000 years old. This is a story of power, betrayal, and murder at the absolute peak of ancient Egyptian society. It's about one of its most legendary pharaohs. For thousands of years, the truth was just gone, buried. But now, well, now science is finally giving us some answers. So, here he is. This is our guy, Pharaoh Ramesses III. And look, he was a big deal. I mean, he ruled Egypt for over 30 years. That's a long, long time. His reign was considered super successful, prosperous. He was basically seen as one of the great ones, a king who was going to go down in history as a legend.
But his ending, yeah, not so glorious. For literally thousands of years, nobody could figure out exactly how he died. The whole thing was just wrapped up in mystery and conflicting stories. So what was it? Did he just die of old age? Or was it something much, much darker? Yep, today we're going to get to the bottom of what really happened.
Okay, so first up, a pharaoh's mysterious death. Let's dig into the puzzle that had historians scratching their heads for centuries. You see, the official records tell one story, but the rumors, the whispers of a conspiracy, they tell a completely different one. So our main piece of evidence here is this incredible document called the Judicial Papyrus of Turin. Think of it as the official court record. It lays out the trials that happened after someone tried to kill the pharaoh. But this is where it gets kind of strange. The whole document is written as if Ramesses III himself ordered the whole investigation, which begs the question, right? How can a dead guy possibly oversee his own murder trial?
And that right there creates this huge problem. On one hand, you have the official story. It was probably written to keep up appearances, to protect this idea that the pharaoh was divine, too powerful to be taken down by regular people. It says he survived the attack and brought everyone to justice. But on the other hand, for thousands of years, the rumor was that the plot worked, that they actually got him, and that is the mystery we are diving into.
All right, let's look at how this conspiracy took shape. To really get what happened, you have to know who was pulling the strings, because this wasn't some random attack. No way. This was an inside job, a full-on coup attempt coming from inside the pharaoh's own palace.
And the goal? Oh, it's a tale as old as time. Power. It's always about power, isn't it? See, Ramesses III had already picked his heir, the guy who would become Ramesses IV. But our plotters? They wanted to just skip right over him and put their own guy on the throne instead.
So let's meet the main cast of characters here. At the center of it all, you've got Tiye. She was one of the pharaoh's secondary wives, and she was absolutely determined to make her son, Pentawer, the next pharaoh. And to make it happen, they had a man on the inside, a super high-ranking official named Pebekamen. He was the brains of the operation, the one figuring out all the logistics. And this quote, taken right from that papyrus, it basically lays out their whole plan. It was a two-step process. Step 1, kill the king. Step 2, stir up a massive rebellion to throw the whole kingdom into chaos. That chaos was exactly what they needed to swoop in and grab power. So the plotters had their motive, they had their plan. All they needed now was the perfect moment to strike. And wow, did they pick their moment well. It's 1155 BC. The pharaoh is in Thebes for this huge festival. The plotters totally use the chaos and all the crowds from this thing called the beautiful Festival of the Valley as cover. It was the perfect distraction to sneak assassins into the royal harem, a place that was supposed to be one of the most secure spots in all of Egypt. And unbelievably, even with all that security, the plan worked. The assassins got to Ramesses III, and despite what the official records tried to say, they did it. They succeeded. The pharaoh was murdered. So the king is dead, but the coup, the takeover, it's not over yet. The conspirators might have won the battle, but believe me, they were about to lose the war.
Yeah, that whole plan to put Pentawer on the throne, it fell apart. The real heir, Ramesses IV, he moved fast. He locked down his power, he took the throne, and the first thing he did was launch a massive investigation to find every single person involved in his father's murder.
And the new pharaoh's justice was incredibly swift. They held a series of 5 trials, and in the end, a total of 28 people were found guilty and sentenced to death for their part in the plot. And when I say justice was swift, I also mean it was brutal. The main plotters, guys like Pepacommon, they were executed. For the prince, Pentawer, they went a different route. He was allowed to take his own life. And get this, even people on the edges of the plot, like some judges who got a little too friendly with the accused conspirators, they were punished by having their noses and ears cut off. Seriously. Okay, so the traitors are punished, justice is served, but the full story of what actually happened to Ramesses III, that stayed hidden for 3,000 years. His mummy didn't have any obvious signs of what killed him until now. This is where modern science finally steps in and blows the case wide open. For centuries, experts looked at the mummy of Ramesses III and found nothing. No wounds, no clues. But then, in 2012, everything changed. A team of scientists decided to run a CT scan on the mummy, and what they found was just jaw-dropping. Tucked away under all those layers of linen bandages was a huge, deep cut across his throat. We're talking deep enough to cut right through his windpipe and major arteries. It was the smoking gun, a wound that would have killed him instantly. And science didn't just solve the king's murder, it also helped us find the body of the traitor prince. See, for years, archaeologists had this weird mummy they called Unknown Man E. He was super strange. He wasn't properly mummified, and he was wrapped in a goat skin, which was considered ritually impure. It was a clear, unmistakable sign of total disgrace.
Well, the final piece of the puzzle dropped into place with DNA testing. Scientists took samples from Ramesses III and from our unknown man E, and bingo. The results were a perfect match. They shared the same paternal DNA. This mystery mummy was Pentawer, the son who plotted to kill his own father, shamed for all eternity, even in his burial.
So there you have it. The Harem Conspiracy is this incredible story where ancient records and super modern technology finally teamed up to solve a murder mystery that was 3,000 years old. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As our science gets better and better, how many other secrets buried deep in the past are just sitting there, waiting for us to find them?